The summer garden's coming to an end, and it's time to start preparing for the fall garden. Hey y'all, if you're new to our channel, I'm Tracy. My husband Gene and I live in central Alabama on 18 acres where we are building and establishing our dream farm. As of right now, we have 8 Nigerian dwarf goats, we have honeybees, we have chickens, laying hens, and we have a Great Pyrenees named Clyde. We have 4 rabbits and we have 2 cats. We have a potager garden where we grow a lot of our food, herbs, and medicine, and we have a newly planted orchard. Our channel is all about gardening, farming, and life, and we are so glad that you chose to watch this video, and we hope that you will subscribe and join us on our journey. We have developed an awesome community here of some wonderful followers and friends. So if you're new to our channel, welcome to Just Dig It Farms. If you're not new to our channel and you are some of our faithful friends and followers, welcome back. The summer garden is coming to an end. We're still picking okra and this beautiful butterfly pea. These are 2 things. Okra and this butterfly pea are 2 things that does not mind the heat at all. In fact, they actually do a lot better in the heat. And peppers is another thing that we're picking, and they do better in the heat as well. So we're still picking okra, peppers, some cherry tomatoes, this wonderful butterfly pea, and I still have some herbs that I'm harvesting. But for the most part, the summer garden is coming to an end. Most of the potager garden beds are either empty or they need to be cleaned out from spent plants, things that are done and finished. And Gene and I have started working on it, but we still have a long way to go to get this garden prepared and ready for fall planting. This butterfly pea is high in anthocyanins and an excellent source of antioxidants, and it makes a really fun tea. Or you can make like a Kool-Aid out of it for children or popsicles. And I'm also harvesting as many of these beautiful flowers as I can. Every day I come out and there's a whole new flush of blooms. It just keeps on blooming and keeps on performing. And I'm harvesting as many as I can and drying them and storing them for the winter to make teas this winter, but also to be able to make some fun Kool-Aid or popsicles whenever my grandbaby comes. I got my house order in a few days ago. I started some of the fall seeds last weekend, and I was waiting on my house order to get here to finished sowing all of my seeds for my fall garden. So I got some top pick pink eye peas, and this one is a bush growing habit, and I'm going to start these around the 15th of August. So I'm going to be direct sowing these in the garden. And I got some Autumn Beauty sunflower mix. I'll be sowing those soon, direct sowing those in the garden. Alright, let's see. So we've got Hoss Green Blaze Bush Beans. Greg at Hoss says this is the best bush bean to grow. Now, I've never grown it, so I'm going to give it a try. I'm not a big fan of bush beans. They just never seem to produce that much for me, and they're so much harder to harvest. I like growing the pole beans the best, but I'm going to give this a shot. And I've got the American rutabaga, purple top rutabaga, and I'll be direct sowing these soon. I got some orange blaze carrots. I'll be direct sowing these, and I've got some other carrots that I already had that I'll be sowing them as well too. I'll do these around the 15th of this month too. I got some chocolate cherry sunflowers. I thought these would be real pretty with that autumn colored mix for fall. I've got the all-top turnip. I'll be direct sowing these. I'll be direct sowing this Savannah mustard. And I'll be direct sowing the Merlin beet, and I've got the Touchstone, which is the golden beet I'll be doing, and a few other ones that I'll be doing. I got some Magnolia Blossom peas. So sugar peas are, I never time it right. I never do good with my timing, so I'm going to give this a try again. I love to just go snack on these in the garden. So hopefully I can grow some this year. And more purple top turnips. And these are onions. This is the Texas Super Sweet and the Red Creole. And it's not time to start these yet. We won't be starting these until September. But I wanted to go ahead and get them since I was placing an order. And I've got some Benary Giant coral zinnias. I'll be direct sowing those. Here's some more onions, Savannah Sweets. And some white Dixie butter peas. I'm going to direct sow these. And then the rest, oh, and a lime orange Queenie zinnia. I'm usually not a big warm colored person. I usually like the cool colors, the pinks and purples and lavenders and whites and the real cool colors. But I'm really looking forward to fall this year. Like, I am so ready for fall. I love fall and I'm ready for it. And I just want the garden to be full of beautiful fall colors. Those oranges and burgundies and deep oranges and deep yellows. I want the garden to be just a beautiful fall garden. As far as sowing seeds in my seed trays, I'm going to do the Top Chop Collard. I've already done, last weekend I did the 2.0 and the Georgia Southern, so I'm going to do this one today. I'm going to do the Imperial Star Spinach and Purple Magic broccoli. Last weekend I sowed some broccolis. I did the Green Magic, the Asperbrock, and today I'm going to do the Purple Magic. And I've got the Tango Celery. So I grew some celery last year, but I grew it from plant starts that I picked up at Petals from the past. So I'm excited to try to grow some celery from seed this year. I've got some other things that I'm also going to be sowing. I've got some herbs, some different herbs that I'm going to sow today in my seed trays. But that was my Hoss order that I just got in. If you need to purchase some seeds for your fall garden or any kind of garden tools or garden equipment, then I highly, highly, highly suggest Hoss Tools. They are an amazing company. I order everything that I can from them. I do order some seeds from Baker Creek, and I've ordered some from Johnny's before, but it was just the things that I couldn't get from Hoss. I am a loyal Hoss customer because I love them. I love Greg and Sheila, and I love the whole gang there at Halse, and they're just really good friends of ours. It's an awesome company out of Georgia, so it's a U.S. company, and Jean and I went there a few years ago and toured the facility. They're building a new building now, but because it's just growing. But we went and toured it, and it is a top-notch seed company, and I always have excellent germination rate with my Halse seeds. So if you need to get some seeds or you need to get some garden tools, then I highly recommend Halse Tools. And we are an affiliate with Halse. We get a little bit of a commission off of anything that you purchase from them if you use our special link. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It just gives us a little bit of commission. So we would really appreciate if you need something to use our link when you make your purchase. And you can find that link in the video description. So a lot of you have questions about when to sow what. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to know your first frost date. Your growing zones really don't matter so much when you're starting annual vegetables or herbs or flowers. Your growing zone is mostly applicable when you're talking about growing perennials or shrubs or trees. But when you're just growing annuals, like annual vegetables or herbs or flowers, then you need to know your first and your last frost dates. And right now for the fall garden, we're concerned with our first frost date. So I am in central Alabama. I'm zone 8B, but my first frost date is November the 11th. And today is actually August the 11th. So that means I have 90 days before my estimated first frost. You know, you never know. Last year we had like a early frost, and you never know what it's going to be. This is just an estimate based on previous year's data of when the first frost was. So November 11th is our estimated. That gives me 90 days. And when you're looking at your seed pack, you want to look to see like how many days to maturity this plant's going to be before you can actually harvest it. This celery is 90 to 100 days. So see, I'm kind of pushing it on that one. These collards is 50 days to maturity, and I have 90 days before my estimated first frost date, so I have plenty of time to grow this out and harvest it before a freeze. Now, here in central Alabama, we don't have harsh winters. We actually have very mild winters. So a lot of these things will do well for us even throughout a good part of the winter. There may be some periods of time when we have below freezing that I do have to go out and cover or protect things. But most of the winter, we really don't have super cold winters. So we can grow a lot of these things through the fall and into some of the winter. And pretty much all of these cool season vegetables, they love it. They love the cold. They love even a little bit of a frost to some of them because it'll make them sweeter. We can't grow these things like collards and turnips and kales and carrots and all of those things during the summer. They just get too hot. They bolt, or they get real bitter. So we really can't grow them here during our summers, but we can grow them in early spring and in fall, and they actually taste really good. They get a lot sweeter, and they are delicious. The fall garden is actually my favorite garden. To me, it's just a lot easier. It's not as hot. It's just a lot easier to me to grow a fall garden. Plus, we love all of the fall vegetables. We love them. So that would be your root crops, your brassicas, all of those kind of things. Lettuces, your greens. We love those vegetables the most. So the fall garden is very important and very loved for us here at JUSTDIGIT Farms. I've been gardening for a long time, and I've kind of got my dates pretty good of when to sow what. Some things I still need to do some tweaking, and you never really know. Sometimes most of the time it's kind of a gamble. You don't really know when you're going to get a first frost. You don't know really when you're going to get your last frost. So it's always a gamble because, you know, as best as the weather data can be and as best as people can predict, Nobody knows exactly what the weather is going to be but God. You just take a chance, do the best that you can, and hope for the best. So the dates that I have of when to sow what is pretty close. I've gotten it down pretty good, but there's still sometimes things don't fall exactly right, like those sugar peas. The things like that my timing's not just perfect, I take a lot of notes and I'm trying to tweak it and get the dates just right the best I can. On our personal website, JUSTDIGITfarms.com, if you'll go there and sign up for our monthly newsletter, I try to get a newsletter out once a month. I'm usually always late because I have so many things going on. But in the newsletter, I tell you what I'm doing in the garden that month, what you need to be doing in the garden that month, what to sow when, and a lot of good garden information in that newsletter that I think should be helpful for you. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. All you got to do is just sign up and put your email in there and we'll send you a newsletter. We've got a lot to do to get ready for the fall garden. A lot of the beds need to be cleaned out. We got to add the compost, the mulch. We're actually going to make a few changes to the garden beds to try to make things a little bit easier on us. We're going to bring the beds in a little bit and make our pathways, our main pathways, just a little bit bigger so that the tractor could actually get into the garden a little better, because when we have to do mulch and compost, all of that shoveling and walking it in a wheelbarrow and stuff, that's just, that's getting too hard. So we're trying to come up with and design ways to make things a little easier on us. The older we get, the easier we need things to be. So trying to figure out how to work smarter instead of harder. So we're going to bring the beds in a little, narrow the beds a little bit, make the paths a little bit bigger, bring in some compost to the rows, some mulch to the pathways, and Jean is still working on our irrigation, so hopefully we'll be able to get that going too. I don't know that it's actually going to be going by fall. It's turned out to be a little bit more complicated than we had anticipated. We're putting in a solar powered irrigation system, and it's just taking time to figure it out. So I don't know that it's going to be done by the fall, but hopefully by the spring of next year. Now I'm going to sow just a few herbs. I'm going to start with Italian parsley. Parsley is one of the herbs that does not like the heat. Does better in the spring and in the fall. Next is Santo cilantro. We love cilantro. Not everybody does. Some people loves it. Some people hates it. We love it. We like it on our tacos and fajitas and guacamole and salsa. And you definitely cannot grow this during the summertime. It bolts and goes to seed super quick. And next I'm going to try some chamomile or chamomile. I've never tried to grow it in the fall, but I'm thinking it might actually do better here in the fall. It does good for me in the spring, and then the summer it just gets hot and it completely burns up, and just, I don't care how much you water it, because then you're giving it too much water. It just dries. It just gets like crispy fried and just dies. I can't ever keep chamomile or chamomile alive very long. So I'm just going to do this as an experiment and see if I can grow a fall run of it and try to get some more of these beautiful, delicious little flowers. I love chamomile tea. It is one of my favorite herbal teas to drink. The little flowers have like a sweet apple kind of fragrance to them. citrusy, sweet apple. That's the best way I know to describe it. And it's beautiful in the garden when it'll grow. And it is one of my favorite herbal teas to drink. I love chamomile tea with a little lemon balm too, and sometimes a little peppermint. It's a good nighttime, sleepy time tea. And chamomile is super tiny little tiny seeds, and it needs light to germinate, which a lot of your herbs do need light to germinate. So I'm just gonna sprinkle this on top, and then when I get back to my greenhouse, I'm gonna just lightly cover it with some soil, just barely. That one was the German chamomile or chamomile. And I also have Zloty lawn, which makes a bigger bloom. I'm not gonna grow that one right now. I'm gonna do another sale tray of the chamomile from our House medicinal herb seed collection. We partnered with them a couple of years ago and created a couple of herb collections. And this is the chamomile that's in that herb collection. So I'm gonna sow a couple of sale trays of it too. The rest of these I'm gonna do some calendula. Calendula is another one of those herbs that does not like the hot weather. Does better in spring, early spring, and fall. And we also can do some borage and some nasturtiums because they both like it cooler. But I'm gonna wait and start those maybe next week because they come up and they grow pretty quick. So I don't think my garden will be ready that quick for them to go into it. So I'm gonna wait just a little bit before I sow those. Now let's do our calendula. Calendula is an herb that's in one of our House medicinal herb seed collections. I'm actually out of that one right now. I've got to order both of the medicinal herb seed collections because I've almost used all of my seeds up. So I've got to place an order for those and get our collections back in. So I don't have any of those, but I do have some from Baker Creek. I've got the Pacific Beauty, the Strawberry Blonde, Pink Surprise, and I've got a Snow Princess right here. But I think that one's Snow Princess, which is real pretty. Got 5 trays here. I think I'm going to do one sale tray of each. I love all the different colors. We'll start with Snow Princess. I think that'll be real pretty for like a little fall arrangement. I mostly like to use my calendula for making a salve, a healing salve. And I've got some calendula infusing right now in sweet almond oil. I like to let it infuse for about 6 weeks and then turn it into a wonderful salve. We've still got a few other things to start. I'm going to sow some more seeds next week indoors in trays, and I've got a lot of work to do in the garden beds to get them all ready to be able to transplant all of these things out in the garden soon, and to be able to direct sow some of the other seeds I was telling you about earlier, hopefully next week. I got a lot of work to do out there, y'all. It has warmed up to a hot and humid 91 degrees out there. So I'm going to come in for a while and get all of this okra and everything that we just harvested put up. I am going to fix some of this for dinner today and put the rest of it up in the freezer. And I'm going to wash my peppers and get those put up and put those few herbs up that we harvested. I'm just spreading these butterfly pea blooms out on this tray, and I'll put it in my closet where it's cool and dark to dry. I'm just going to put these poblano peppers in the refrigerator for right now. I plan to make stuffed poblano peppers later on this week. I'm going ahead and cutting up these bell peppers, and I'll just put them in the refrigerator and they'll be ready to use this week for our meals. I'm putting on gloves when I cut up these hot peppers because I've made that mistake before. These are cayenne peppers, and I'm just dehydrating these, and I'm going to grind them up and turn them into cayenne pepper, but I'm also going to take some of them and make a muscle rub salve with the cayenne peppers. These are chili peppers, and I've just been dehydrating those too, and I'm going to grind those up and make some chili powder. This is my peppermint, and I'm just pinching off the really healthy, good looking peppermint leaves, and I'm going to dehydrate those and just put them in storage, and they'll be ready when I'm ready to have some peppermint in my teeth. Now it's time for dinner. Tonight we're having baked okra from the garden, salmon with our honey drizzled on the top of it, rice, and peas from our garden. It's evening time now. It's about 6 o'clock, so it's cooled off enough to get back out in the garden. And here is one of my beds that I'm weeding. This is pigweed. We are still fighting pigweed. So I'm just trying to get all of the pigweed out of this garden to begin with, and then we'll clean up the cucumber vines, the spent plants in there, and then Jean's coming out to help me, and we're going to move these bed borders in a little bit on each side and try to widen up those main pathways to get the tractor through it. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful week. God bless you, and I'll see y'all next week.